Coming to you from Baker's Green Acres. Today's, October 18th, 2022. October 18th, 2022. And it's 8:02. Okay, sorry about that. I'm a little late. How about that? I was sitting here cleaning off my glasses, and it appeared to be 8 o'clock there, not 8:02. So that's my fault. All right, well, I hope everybody had a good weekend. I sure did. We're going to be entering into our last weekend of football. My two youngest sons play football, so we go and watch them play. And I had two games to go to this last Saturday. The first one we went to in the morning, it was kind of chilly outside, so we dressed what we thought was appropriately, but you didn't want to go over the top. You don't want people to think you're, you know, afraid of the cold. Be a farmer, be a man. So I just wore long johns, took it easy. We sat in the stands. The stands were made out of aluminum, and I, for one, was very cold. Very cold. Occasionally the sun would come out and it would warm me up, but then it was cold. And the second game was here in McBain. It was 5 in the afternoon. I was not cold. I didn't care what I looked like. I wore bibs and I wore my heavy winter jacket, and I was not cold. But one game we won, one game we lost. So we had some good times. But anyway, it was a good weekend. Yeah. All right, Justin Z's with us. Keith's with us. Sean Wise is with us. And Keith is saying it looks like winter. Yeah, we had snow here yesterday and yesterday morning too. Sunset Heritage Farm. I'm a woman, and I'm here to tell you this rain weather is cold. Wait a minute. You're a woman? Maybe you can answer the question, what is a woman? Maybe. And Sergeant Zumwalt is with us. Welcome. Thanks for coming. All right. Here we are. We're launched into fall. Over in Cadillac, where my second oldest son lives, they got a couple inches of snow. Here it wasn't so bad. All right, Justin's saying it's going to be 75 and sunny here this weekend. Man, I think I'll be heading your way because I don't think it's going to be anything like that. I mean, I guess I'm ready for it, but I never really love to see it come. I really enjoy the warmer weather. I really do. But I do enjoy the colder weather too. If that sounds conflicted, I definitely am. Anyway, a lot of things happen this time of the year that I enjoy. So I don't mind fall. I don't mind. Actually, I don't mind winter. I like plowing snow. I like working in the cold somewhat. It just takes a little getting used to. And it's like Saturday, it was cold and wet, and it was windy, so that was tough to take. But today wasn't much better actually. Today was a cool one. I woke up with a little bit of a cold. The kids had a cold, and I didn't really get any of it. But then last night I could feel it setting in before I went to bed, so I took a bunch of vitamin C. Hi, Belva, and went to bed. And didn't sleep too good. Got up this morning. Was kind of restless all night, and about 6 o'clock, I said, "Hey, I gotta lay down a little bit. There's no way I'm going to make it through the show." And I just got up at 7:44. So I took early evening siesta. You can hear it. I got a little congestion in my lungs. I did not swim this morning. Didn't think it would be a good idea. But I feel pretty good right now. But I know it's going to be kind of a long night tonight because I probably won't feel like going to bed right away. But anyway, the subject for tonight is essential butchering tools for the homestead. And the sponsors of tonight's show is the Homestead Hog Harvest, which is November 4th through 6th. And info, you guys, the October class has been scratched. We only had one guy show up, sign up for it, so we just scratched it off. And there's really no skin off my chin because I have a lot of things that I need to get done before the November class, and I wasn't really going to be ready for the October class, which is coming up here really quick. It would be, let's see, the 24th through 26th. So that's what's today? Today's the 18th. So that's right around the corner, and I'm not really as ready for it as I would like to be. So it was okay with me that we scratched the class. It was Jill's effort to accommodate people that say things like, "Oh, I'd love to come to that, but I can't. I work on the weekends." So we offered a class midweek. And, Jill's trying to be as accommodating as she can. And I guess people didn't want it that bad. So we're going to stay with one class this year. The following the November class here, November 4th through 6th, we're going to be down in Trufant, Michigan at the Cleric Homestead. December 3rd through the 4th, 3rd and 4th, we're going to have our first beef butchering class. And December 11th and 12th, we will have our second annual hog charcuterie class. And last year we did that and it was really fun. Had a good time. I feel as though it's a worthwhile class to take. And I want to discuss a little bit of that tonight. A lot of this, you guys that have been coming around for a while have heard this. The reason why this topic comes up again is because, hey, Melissa, how you doing? Oh, yeah, please hit the thumbs up right away to elevate our status in the world of YouTube, please, if you would. Bad news, I got 2 more strikes on YouTube, and it's because they went back quite a ways, and they flagged a couple of things that I said. I was probably saying, COVID is bad and you should all go out and get your shot as soon as you can. And they didn't like that. So it was misinformation, medical misinformation. So don't goad me into saying anything that I shouldn't. All right. Sunset Heritage Farm says, I want to do it so bad, but this year isn't going to happen. Plus, my husband broke his heel today. That's got to be bad. I bet you that's one of those ones that you have to screw it back on. They have to get in there and put a screw in it. Ooh, that sounds terrible. Okay, and the Cleric's with us. Off Grid with Dave and Sonia. Right on. The Adventurers. All right, so our topic tonight is going to be essential butchering tools for the homestead. And it's interesting that this is the topic that was picked for tonight. Jill picked this. I was over at my son's house today, and they've gone through a process of looking for a home with a little bit more property so they can do what they need to do. And they made a valiant effort, but came up with nothing. And the prices of everything right now, where we are anyway, is about 30% higher than it was previously to, I don't know, 19 or so, but prices are way up, maybe 2020. So they've decided that they're going to stay where they're at, and they're going to build on the house that they have. And they really like where they live, and it's a good location. Has a gorgeous backyard, just gorgeous, and they're on 2 acres, and they wanted something like 10 where they could do some things. But I have been talking lately about farming on much smaller acreage. And I don't know, maybe they heard one of my videos, or I don't know. But we had a conversation today about setting up a smaller homestead, a 2 acre homestead. And as I've been going through this in my mind about the 1/4 acre homestead project that we've actually started, um, there's a ton of opportunity there for somebody with a small acreage. I mean, you can do everything. You just can't do as much of it. You might not be cutting hay and might not be logging forests and stuff, but there's still a lot that a guy can do. So we were sitting at his kitchen table talking it through, and I said, "Gee, if it was me, I think I'd focus more on livestock here." And someone said, "Yeah, we have a lot of shade, and so it's kind of hard to grow things. And here it is, the fall anyway, so you're not going to be starting anything growing." And they've had some pretty pathetic years as far as growth goes because there's so much shade. And yeah, they're going to get in there to go take down some trees that are blocking all their sunlight. But I said, if it was me, the first thing I'd do is I'd set up an area where you can butcher. And that gives you the ability to uh, cruise through the Craigslist livestock ads, and if you see something that is really nicely priced, and regardless of what it is, it could be a group of chickens, it could be a beef cow, it could be a dairy cow, it could be a goat, some sheep, something like that. A lot of times people get into things and then they want to get out of them just as quickly as they got in, and you can get some pretty good deals, right? And if you have a butchering area, um, at the same time you're setting up your homestead, you will still be able to be actually providing for your home. So let's say that you find a good deal on a calf, let's say a 800-pound calf, and you're not set up to keep that calf, but you need meat for your home. You go out and get that calf, bring it home, boom, get it butchered, and you've got meat. It's fall time. Now's the time to start butchering. All right, Crunchy Mom is with us. Uh, First beef of the season goes through November 1st. Gotta love fall. Okay, first beef coming up here. Way to go, Sean. That is tough, not stirring the pot. I'll behave. No, stir away. Stir away, Zumwalt. Stir away. All right, so, and that was my honest opinion. That would be the first thing that I would do. And now I realize a lot of people don't have the they haven't had the experiences that I have had. But if you look at the situation that we are all in right now, potentially, all right, potentially, the commander in chief said that we're going to be facing food shortages. We already have a serious backup in our processing. We have a real strain on our supply system in this country. It's very strained, and here is winter is coming. So yeah, do I believe the commander in chief all the time? No. And could this just be a hiccup in the supply system? Could be. Um, so should I just say, the heck with it? Everything will be fine. We'll be eating at Ruby Tuesdays all winter long. I'm not. That's not me. I couldn't do that. I have to be a little bit more. It's the Boy Scout in me. I have to be a little bit more prepared than that. So I personally would put a lot of emphasis at this time of the year on getting into butchering. I would. And now it just so happens that this coincides with the Homestead Hog Harvest uh, processing class, which is going to be, if you missed my announcement, it's going to be November 4th through the 6th. And then the beef butchering class is going to be December 3rd and 4th. So that's convenient that this topic was picked. And then I had this conversation with Kyle today. And the commander in chief has told us that there's going to be food shortages. But that's the way it falls. And, the guy in the neighborhood that can butcher a beef could be the coolest guy in the neighborhood. Really could. So I want to go through a few of the essentials for a startup butchering and just talk that through. I will field your questions. So let's make this kind of a impromptu question and answer about homestead butchering, and we'll just see where this goes. Now I'm going to talk about the essential tools, but we can talk about anything you want. A guy right now could accumulate an awful lot of meat in his freezer, in um, in ball jars, canning jars. Uh, as far as pigs go, there's a lot of cured meats that you can make, and the only thing that's between you and doing that is the know-how to do it. And honestly, before this time, uh, before we started teaching this, I really don't know where you would find that out. When I got out of the service, I started looking around, hey, is there a school that I can go to learn how to do this? And there really wasn't that I saw. I never did find one. And it just so happens that I fell into um, this outfit that was bringing a guy from Austria over here who was an expert butcher, and he didn't speak English very well, but I got to train under him 3 different times, and I learned quite a bit. Of course, I knew something. I knew something about it. I had done a little bit before I got here. I wasn't afraid to do it, but I didn't know the intricacies of it. And let's be honest here. There's way more that I don't know about butchering than I do know. There really is. There's a lot to know. We learn something every time we take an animal apart, because all of a sudden, oh, that's where that is. I never knew that before, but it looks just like the picture in the book. And you sometimes you just miss it. You don't see it, and you have an idea in your head how you're going to make it happen. And that brings a point to mind that butchering doesn't always have to be like you see at the store. And what you see at the store is a standard that you think that if it's not cut that way, then it's not what I want. But you have to get through that. It's like any process that you're doing for the first, second, or third, or fourth time. You're not going to do it as good as the pros do it. And the standards that they have, like say in the meat cutting industry, it's the standard. I don't know if you can vary from that and still get meat cuts in the store or not. I really don't know, but I'll tell you what, if you have to eat, you're not going to really care that much what it looks like. If it's a little bit thick on one end and thin on the other end, it's not going to matter to you, right? So there's a saying in the butchering world that we remind people of every chance we get is it will make a turd, which means you can utilize it and it will go through the digestive system. Don't worry about it. All right, so what do we got here? Melissa's got, I'm gonna keep an eye on these just so that I don't get too far out ahead of things. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Sunset Heritage Farm. I bought a brand new chicken plucker on auction last night for next year. Didn't think of looking for birds now. Thanks, Lori. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Why wait? Look on Craigslist under Home and Garden, I think, and people have stuff that they just want to. Okay, this is one of the things I want to talk about. At the end of the season, a lot of times farmers have excess, and especially stuff like produce. Uh, you want to move it along. And somebody comes to you and says, "Oh, I want tomatoes." You want them to buy a bushel of tomatoes. You don't want to just sell like 5 tomatoes. You need them to leave. You need them gone, and their dollars in your pocket. That's what you need. And if they don't start moving, at some point, you have to lower the price on it to get it to move, right? It's the same way in the livestock industry. As a matter of fact, there's another factor that's working against you in the livestock industry is you've got to continue to feed that cow. So let's say somebody has a cow that's a cull cow. It's 3 years old. Cull means they are going to take it out of their herd for a reason. And a lot of times, if you have a herd of cows and there's one cow that has a problem, maybe she's mean, maybe she lost a calf, maybe she's got a bad hoof or something, then she becomes number one on the hit list. And you're going to rotate her out. Now, let's say you're just a regular guy that farms a little and works on the side, and you don't have a butchering operation, and you have a couple of cull cows that you're feeding, and here it is October, and you know you're going to cull them out, and you call the butcher, and they say, "Yeah, we can get you in next May." You'd be like, "Wow, that's a long ways out. That's going to equal a lot of feed between now and May. I don't want to do that." And then somebody like me comes along and says, "Well, I'm looking for some cull calves. Or cull cows? Do you have any?" "Oh yeah, I got this one right here. I'll let you have it for," and then they'll quote you a price on it. And uh, because it's in a frustrated state, the farmer might want to move it along a little quicker. And it is surprising how much of that there is these days. And you wouldn't think there would be, because you look at the price of meat at the store and it's through the roof. So you'd think that the industry would be sucking in everything it could get to get it on the store shelves at the prices that they're selling it. But strangely enough, there's a big slowdown in processing. And there's different reasons for it. One of the reasons is greed. People are calling up and making um, appointments for a lot of beef and then not bringing them in. They're just doing it to make sure they can get their beef in. I've heard of that happening. It's happening in manufacturing as well. A friend of mine told me that he can't get parts for his manufacturing process. They make hoses. And when he buys raw materials, he buys 20% more than he needs from this guy, and he puts in an order with this guy. If this comes in, he cancels this. But this one, number two, can't fill the order for somebody else because see, and so the whole thing gets gummed up. Um, but this is where we come in. If you have a butchering facility and you need something to do, I know Justin's always looking for things to do. You go through Craigslist. You can find all kinds of cool stuff there that you might just go buy it and bring it home and then have a butchering weekend. Could do really well. And what do you need? You need a vehicle and some sort of trailer if you want to get a cow in it, or maybe some goats or sheep or something like that. And What else do you need? Let's say that you don't have a processing facility on your homestead right now, or let's say that you're planning your homestead. You don't have a homestead yet, and you're planning, what are you going to do when, you reach a certain point in your career and then you're going to move to a piece of land and set up a homestead? What do you need on your homestead to be able to process, say, pigs? And I'm here to tell you, if you can process a pig, you can process a beef. It's just heavier, right? And I was trying to explain this to my son today. I don't lift these beef up, I use tools that lift those beef up. Like I have a chain hoist. It's a hand operated chain hoist that I've had for 30 years that'll lift a ton. And I've lifted everything with that on this farm, everything. And I've lifted a lot of beef with it, a lot of pigs, a lot of sheep, a lot of, everything. And so I'm not the one that's actually lifting it. You do need a place to hang this beef from, said beef. And let's talk about that a little bit. When I first started here, I had butchered before when I got here. The first animal that I butchered here was a pig. And the way that worked out, I was using this as an explanation to my son Kyle today. Uh, I was looking through, what did we have then? That was in '04. I didn't have a phone. Must have been the newspaper or something. Must have been the Wheeler Dealer newspaper. Yeah, it must have been. And a kid north of Lake City was advertising two big sows, and he wanted $150 for them. And I went up there, and yeah, they were big. They were like landrace sows, and they were 700 pounds, 800 pounds. They were big, big girls. And I said, yeah, okay, I'll take them. And he says, okay, that's $300. And I said, oh, the ad indicated 150 for both. And he says, no, 150 each, which still would be a good deal. It really would have. But I felt like he was deceiving me, and it kind of irritated me. And back then in '04, I was still wrapped just a little tight, if you know what I mean, Zumwald. And I said, well, then no, And so I left. And he called me up a week later, and he says, okay, you can have them. So I went up, took the trailer up, and we loaded them. And I got him home, and I remember at the time, he had all these bags. He was buying feed to feed these big girls. And, they were big enough, they could push through anything. So if he didn't keep them fed, they were going to do the runaround on his place. But I got them home, and we were going to use them for farrowing. I borrowed a boar from somebody, and we got them pregnant. I never had big sows like that, but I thought I'd try it. And I did get babies from them, but they didn't do too well, and wound up deciding that I would start over with some smaller animals. And at that time, we were still thinking, oh, you have to farrow in the barn, And so I did, and it was just really stinky and wasn't good. So we decided, okay, we're going to butcher these pigs. And so I did. I butchered them right out under the tree. If you've ever been here, where the butcher shop is now, there was no butcher shop there. There was just a tree with a big overhang. And I put a rope up there, and then I put my chain hoist on there and pulled that old girl up and butchered her out. I did that in the summertime. Yes, I did. And it was Fly City. But I was able to get that meat processed up, and we got it in a freezer, and it fed my family for quite a long time. And it was good. But I sold the other one after I butchered it, and we made think 500-600 bucks on it, and that was where I started buying livestock for my own breeding stock here. And this is before Mangalitsa came along, and I was buying just any pigs that I could find. I didn't really have druthers at the time, and that's where the breeding operation started. And we started buying feed at that time. We were buying it from a mill down here, and we we trusted that they were honest people, and they were anything but honest. And we wound up with bills that made hog processing seem, or hog growing seem, kind of not a smart thing to do. And you're here. I am in northern Michigan, and there's like Ebels is over here, and they've got a meat counter, and they've got some really good deals on pigs, and they're pros at cutting it up. And so we were kind of competing with them, and we couldn't. People just didn't want to pay what we needed to make ends meet. So we kind of got out of pigs because, in my mind at the time, all you could do is you fed them the feed that you buy from the store. I never thought of scrounging feed or growing feed or anything like that. So we were getting beat up pretty good on it, and we wound up letting it go. But the first processing I did was right here off of a tree. And from there, we built the butcher shop. But at first, there was just a pad there. There was just a concrete pad, and there was no rail. There was nothing really. I just had the knives that I had that I brought with me from Montana, and when I got out of service, my 22 and my bone saw. All I had was this bone saw, which I went down to the shop to gather up some tools. And this bone saw, I've had this now for 18 years here in Michigan, and they probably had it for about 5 years in Montana. So I've had this for a while. I think I paid about $35 for it. So it's basically like sort of like a hacksaw, but then there's a special blade that goes in it for cutting meat and bone. And you can do a lot with this. I mean, they cut really well. So do you need a building? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What you do need, though, is you need something that's up high, and probably a chain hoist that you can pick the animal up. Now, if you're going to be picking a cow up, cows can go a ton. They easily a ton. So you got to make sure that what you're picking up can be supported by whatever you're picking up against. So if it's a tree limb, it's got to be a really stout one to pick a cow up. And that is, I'm going to put a caution right there. Boop, boop, boop. Because let's say you've got a 1-ton animal hanging off the tree, and you're down there cutting away, and the thing falls, and it falls on you, you could be a hurting pilgrim in no time. Even a pig falling on you, depending on how it falls, it could force the knife through your hand or something like that. So I want to tell you need to be careful. That's the first thing you need to be really careful with. It's kind of nice if you're on some sort of pad, and what we found works really good is crushed stone, because then any blood or anything will go down through that stone, it'll wash down through, and then the bacteria that's on the ground is kind of protected, and it'll eat anything that falls down in there and keep the area smelling good. It might not smell like roses, but you don't want the area smelling like rotten meat, and you shouldn't really get that. We have killed everything that I've just mentioned with a 22 rifle. I have upgraded in the last couple years. I upgraded to a 22 mag rifle. I just had a shell on the table here too. There's a bullet shell on the table. Got away from me. Oh, there it is. So it's a little bit bigger than a 22 long rifle, just a little bit bigger. It's about the same bullet. They use a better bullet though, like with a 22 long rifle. They usually just use like a lead bullet and they'll coat it with something. But these are actually um, jacketed bullets. They jacket them with copper, and so they slide down the barrel really good. They make a good seal in the barrel, and then they on the bullet tip, the actual bullet, they design it so it will penetrate and open up. So you get a good transfer of energy to the animal. And that in itself is a whole conversation that I don't mind having. It's a good conversation. But lately I've been using what's called the 20 WMR VMAX, 30 grain VMAX bullet. And I am 12 for 13 on pigs with that round. And amongst my friends that butcher, Devin is probably does as much butchering as I do, and he does not like that round. He prefers the 32 special, which is like a 30-30, which is pretty high power cartridge. And I think that that's way too much bullet. I think it's too much gun. But he swears by it, and but I swear by this. Like I have good luck with this, and he has good luck with that. So, but the idea there is you want to use just enough to make a good, clean kill or knockdown. Really, is what we're talking here. We're not killing the animal with the gun. When you shoot the pig and a beef, when you shoot them, it stuns them. So it goes into their brain and it just locks up all the circuits and they just go down. Usually they go down and they quiver. And I believe they are unconscious at that point, although I can't really know, but I believe they are unconscious. And then the kill is done actually with a knife. And this is one of the knives that we prefer. This is a Victorinox. It's out of Germany, I think. I should know. Yeah, I can't remember. Germany or Switzerland. Huh, I don't remember. Justin, you know. Anyway, it's a Victorinox. This knife right here is about $40, and you can see it's lost a lot of material off of here. We've used this a lot. Right? It's been around a long time. We've got quite a few of them. Some of them are quite worn out. And then this is used to you push it straight in right here on the pig, and you push it straight down towards the tail, and you'll follow this channel that's in here, and you'll follow it right where the heart is. The heart is right here. So as soon as you hit the top of the heart, it just gushes. And that's where the kill happens. That's when all the blood comes out of the pig. And that's when they just cease. Same thing with a cow, only with a cow, instead of just pushing it in, you have to make a cut about that long. And then you actually follow the knife in with your hand because you have to get in there about that far and make your way down through that channel and then hit the heart. And they'll bleed out really quick. Cows have a lot of blood in them. So you have to be prepared for that. And sometimes in the wintertime when I do it, and there's no place for the blood to go, you see just how much blood there is. It's amazing. It's like, I don't know. I would say they have 4 gallons of blood, maybe 5. I don't know. How much blood in a cow? I'm going to look that up. I'd like to know that. Okay, Miss Siri. How much blood in a cow? Whoa! Holstein cow, 10.3 gallons. No wonder. 39 liters. How much blood does a cow have? Let me ask it another time, another way. Uh, how much blood in an elephant? Okay, now. All right. Well, I'm not going to get anywhere with that because it's trying to sell me something. Don't you hate that when you get those things that pop up? The volume of blood in a cow is between 52 and 57 milliliters per kilogram. Depending on the animal's age and condition, if the mass of the cow is 700 kilograms, there was 36 to 39. Why would they give you that? Yeah, they're all going to be measured in. Well, anyway, the first one was good. 10 point, 10.3 gallons in a Holstein. That's a lot of blood. All right, so we've established that we're going to shoot the animal with an appropriate cartridge. So you will need a rifle. I don't recommend a handgun because it's just not accurate enough unless you're trained. But handguns don't have the power that a long gun has. You want to use enough gun to get the job done, but you don't want to go using like a 30 caliber, a 308 or something, because it will go through the head and then it will go clean through the body. You really don't want to do that because you'll do too much damage to the animal. Yeah, it'll kill it, but you don't want to do that much damage. And I always find that with a 22 mag, you get enough. You have to be careful. And in my case, like when I'm doing it in front of a big crowd of people, that can be a little bit hairy. But I've had pretty good luck so far, so I'm probably going to stay with it. I'll stay with the VMAX, 30 grain VMAX. But you don't want to go out there with a shotgun and do a lot of damage to the animal. That's not the point. You want to keep the damage to a minimum. And then you have to be able to get the animal to the area where you're going to butcher it. So let's say it's a pig. The clerics did this. They rolled it up on a sled, just a kid's snow sled. And then a bunch of them pulled it over to the area that they had set up to do it. And then they put in 2 telephone poles, and I'm going to do this too for my high rail. And then a piece of telephone pole across the top, and it's up nice and high, and it's stout enough they could lift a horse up there if they had to. And then they pulled it up and got their scalding done and, got it eviscerated and all that stuff. And that is part of the class. That's why taking a class is a smart thing to do, because you get to see that done, you get to participate in it, and you get that mental picture in your mind what you're going to need in order to proceed, right? I rhymed, didn't I? A poet, I don't know it. I think my thing needs batteries here. There it goes. Keep up on Johnny Spears is with us. Huh. Andy says, I'm a little tightly wrapped around the axle. You had me at the bone saw. I had you at the bone saw? What do you mean? Swiss. Okay, Crunchy says it's Swiss. Swiss, Justin. Use the old judge. The old judge. The old judge? Is that Betsy? Old Betsy. All right. Now let's press on with the tools that you need. All right. Now, as you wade into this, as you start doing this, then you realize, this process would be a lot easier if I had a sharp knife, let's say. Because people that don't do this all the time, you don't know the beauty of a sharp knife. So you don't have knife sharpening materials or equipment. And once you finish your first big, you say, the next time I do this, I'm going to have some sharp knives around here. They're a lot safer, for one, because you're not jerking on the thing and it's not likely to let go and then stick in you. Um, and that's something that I've put a lot of time and effort into over the years, is having sharp knives. And the latest thing that I got was a motorized knife sharpener, and it was expensive. It was over $1,000. And I did that because I thought, we have a lot of people using knives in this shop, and there's a lot of knives. And if I can find a way to get them sharp quickly, I will do it. It would be worth it to me. Now, it was a good purchase. It wasn't a great purchase though. After I purchased it, I saw other things online that I thought were better and about the same price. But it was good. It was good. I can't say, I could have returned it to Kent Butcher Supply, but I didn't. I kept it because it is good, but it's not great. It's a machine that has two wheels on it that interconnect, and you just draw the knife through it as it's running, and you draw it through four times on one side and two times on the other side, and you know it works pretty good. But then it's not done. I have to take it to a stone from there to get it really nice and sharp, and then after the stone, we always have one of these on hand. This is a butcher steel. This happens to be a very new one, which I like to see that. And this is something that you want to learn to do. Um, if you go to culinary school, they will tell you that you should always push the knife away from you. And I can appreciate that, but it's not a very natural feel. It feels quite natural when you're pulling it towards you, to me. And that was the way I was shown how to do it. And you do it so much that just becomes muscle memory. And, you can get a knife really nice and tuned up with this. Oh, yeah. That knife right there is sharp enough that I could shave with. I'll keep it in and shave my beard off with it tonight. I mean, literally, it will shave. Yep. So let's see. You need something to pick your animal up. You need something to put your hoist on. Now, all of these things, once you know what you need, could be part of a building. Could be, but it's not necessary. Me, I like that. I like it in a building. I like to have all my equipment in there. And when it's time for me to butcher something, I can work out of the sun. I can work out of the flies. I can work out of the wind and the rain. And it's just nice. I enjoy my work, and I like to be in a place that's comfortable when I'm doing my work. I don't think that's so crazy. I have lights in there if I need to work at night, and I would do it again. Honestly, I would build a butcher shop again. I think we've made a very good case for it, and there's quite a few people in our tribe that have either broken ground or. Can we see a show of hands on here? How many people have actually built butcher shops? We got a pretty good crowd. I think I think Ben has. I know Justin has. I think Andy. I know Andy did some butchering. Crunchy for sure. I did some butchering there. DeClerc's, yeah, for sure. Dave and Sonia, you need to be coming to our one of our Homestead Hog Harvest classes. Did we talk about that? I wonder if we did. I don't know if Sean did. Sean Wise. I don't know if you did. Keith did. So quite a few people have put things together. And so I good on you. I think that's a great idea. All right, and then once you've got your animal, okay, Andy's going to build a butchering space. All right, Ben has. Yep, Ben's saying a 410 defense round for those is insane. Justin did. Crunchy, yup. Oh, the judge. Okay, I know what you're talking about. The judge. The judge is that revolver 410. Okay, yeah, yeah. 45 long Colt, or it shoots a 410 ski. Yeah. Okay, Sean Wise. I did just finish my first hog of the year tonight. Right on, man. Right on. Yeah. See, everybody that has made steps to do these types of things, I don't think you're worried about a food shortage. As a matter of fact, the food shortage is actually going to be it's going to bring you business. Like, you know, it's going to bring you business. I don't so inst- it what they're telling you is somebody else is not going to come rescue you. Somebody else is not going to come bring you food. And so a lot of you have said, I'll take care of that. I'll create my own food. And then you don't have to worry about it anymore. You're not at the choke point anymore. You've freed yourself from the choke point. And if you're not getting monkeypox and you're not getting the woo flu, then you're just fine. All these things, all these spells and incantations that they're using on us to make us a bunch of scaredy cats. The latest thing, and you just hear little bits and pieces of it. I heard that there's a Russian submarine that's missing, a nuclear powered submarine. You know, what's next? Justin Z. Burnt and scraped first hog last weekend and 2 goats for customers. I felt alive. Right on. All right, so that's what I would do. That would be my first thing if I was putting together a homestead now. I mean, I would have animal processing and I would have it right now. If Yeah, that's just Justin's talking about the different techniques. Um, we scald and scrape pigs mostly, but sometimes we burn their hair off too. Uh, and it works pretty good. You burn them with a weed burner, and then you scrape them, burn them, scrape them. It does a pretty nice job. I don't think it's as clean as when you scald and scrape them, but it's it seems a lot easier. Now, for me, let's say somebody was to ask me, well, what are you going to do to make things easier? Because I'm always preaching that you want to always improve your process. Never let the process say, or never say that the process is as good as it can be. I'm going to leave it right there. Don't ever do that because, uh, well, I'm never going to do that. You guys can do what you want. I don't want to tell you what to do, but I am a big proponent of increasing, sharpening your stick, fortifying the position that you're in. Always make it a little bit better. And I certainly have things that I want to do to make it better. So I am making plans to put in a high rail, and I was inspired by the Declaric high rail. He used phone poles, and I'm also going to use phone poles to do it. And I'm also going to build a rail that will go up. I'll put 2 phone poles on the end, one across the top. It's only going to be about 20 feet. And then underneath the one on the top is where the rail is going to be bolted up underneath it. And so that rail is going to be, it's going to be several pieces of steel and a kind of a lattice work in there. and all welded together with holes drilled so I can put in really long bolts through the top pole and through the side poles. And I've got a few other things planned to give it structural stability. We're going to put the poles down as far as we can dig. So I think we can dig down about 6 feet. Um, so yeah, that's one of the things that I want to do, because I am butchering beef off of the bucket of our tractor. And I've never thought of a problem happening, but what if, the battery goes dead on the tractor and I can't bring it down, or I can't pick it up, or whatever. I would like it to be a little bit simpler, so I can possibly just walk a beef down into that area, do the shoot and the stick, and then all I really need is my hand tools from that point on. My chain hoist, give it a little bit of oil, and that baby will run forever. So I don't think that I'm ever going to have any problem with that. However, I have a backup. I have a newer one that is a 3-ton. That's a backup. I think the one I have is a 1.5 tons. Yeah. And then the other one is a 2-ton. Yeah, that's what it is. And it's a new one. I haven't hardly used it at all. But I like to keep the area as simple as I can. I also have plans at some point to get another hoist that is a motorized hoist, 110 volt motorized hoist. Because when I'm out there working by myself, it would just be nice to be able to and have it go up. If something goes wrong with it, I've always got my chain hoist that I can put in place. Right? What else would I like? I would like to have um, a thermostatically controlled scalding tank for doing pigs. And I have a tank that I'm going to use when I finally build this. And it's going to be nice, because then if I go out there in the morning and I'm going to process a pig that day, all I have to do is fill it up with water and then turn it on. And then when it comes up to temperature, it'll just shut itself off. And the pilot will keep going. But, the way it is right now, we have a pot, and it's nice for demonstration purposes, because when we do the Homestead hog harvest, I like to show people, hey, you can do this at home. And so I don't want to have any equipment there that they might not have readily available. So we just have an old scalding tank. It's actually made for that. It's an antique. And then we get a fire going underneath it. And when it comes up to temp, then we either stop it there at 150 degrees put some water in it and stop it. Or, if it's not hot enough, put some more wood under it. But that takes a little bit of time too. If I had an automatic one, yeah, that'd be a little nicer. Let's say I had an automatic scalder and I had a motorized hoist, motorized heist. Then I'd really be in good shape. For when I'm working by myself. But there's something to be said for simplicity too. And okay, Justin says, I agreed. They were going to cook it on a rotisserie whole. The customer helped me and used to burn off their hair on Mangalitsa in Serbia. Okay. All right. Hey, Nancy's with us. How you doing, Nance? Welcome. So for those of you just coming in on the conversation, we're talking about when we do pigs, we scald and scrape them. And this is a process where after you shoot them and bleed them out, you submerge them in water that's somewhere around 150 degrees. Around here, there's a lot of argument about which works best. Some people would say 150 is too high. Some people say it's just right. I think that 140 is just right, and you leave it in at 140 longer. 150, they'll put it in, they'll move it around, they'll take it out quite quick. And this way, the hair pulls off. But I like 140 143, I think, is optimum. Ben's saying, been using my excavator, but would be nice to build a hoist. Yeah, then you don't have to tie up a piece of equipment. Crunchy's saying, Milwaukee makes a really nice electric one ton. I'll have to look into that. I have to look into that, Sean. Let's see. Now, splitting carcasses. That reminds me, Crunchy. And I didn't even talk to you about this when you were here this summer. Sean presented me with a really nice beef splitting cleaver, and the cleaver blade is about 2 feet long, and it's got a two-handed handle. And he said that the company he got it from, most people that buy them as props, for Halloween props and stuff. And Sean got this, and he got it. It was nice and sharp. I mean, it was razor sharp, and presented it to me down at their place when we went down there and did a class. And I was really floored by that presentation and brought it home. But we had to use it, so we did a beef last winter. We did several beef and tried it out, and it's surprising that cleaver will just follow the backbone. Like, the backbone is like this, and it's got a really weak spot in the middle where the spinal cord runs. So when you come down on that backbone, the animal's hanging up by its back legs. You come down on that backbone with that cleaver, it's going to want to follow the path of least resistance. So it's not going to veer off into the solid bone. It's going to stay right in the middle. And it was surprising. You could take that beef right down the middle with that cleaver, and every time you whacked it, you'd cut down, 6 inches, 8 inches, depending where it was on the animal. At first, when you first start, you're going through the pelvis and everything, that area, and it's thicker. And then midway, it thins out a little bit, and then you get into the shoulders, and it's a little tougher. And then we were actually, it was Sam that was doing it. Actually, Joe made a video of it. It was kind of gross, but boy, did it work good. It worked good. So I'm going to start using it on pigs this year when I have the chance to do it when no one's around, just in case it doesn't work out too good. Tea. I'm going to need it. All right. So what else do we want to talk about? Speaking of equipment for butchering, I bought a bolt gun to dispatch the rabbits. A bolt gun, huh? Huh. I'd like to see that. Is it a small one? Because they make one for doing beef, and it's pretty hefty. It shoots out a bolt about that long, and it shoots it out about that far. Huh. I tell you how we do rabbits, Nance. We hold them by the scruff of the neck. You know how you pick a rabbit up? And then we actually use one of these. You just go kabonk, just like that, right on the bean. And then they just quiver until they go. Huh. How about that? And then I just drop them in a bucket until they're expired. And then we skin them. I wonder how you're skinning them. My kids have gotten it down to an art. They can have a rabbit skun in about, you'd miss with this? It's easy. It's just, you're just holding it. You just go, bop. We call it bunny bopping. And Frank has actually made custom bunny bopping sticks. He made them out of a chunk of reinforcing rod. And then he took a tree limb and drilled it and then drove it in there and wrote on the handle, custom bunny bopping stick. Excuse me. I have not had a cold in a long time. I'm talking with my sister on the phone yesterday, and she said, "Are you sure it's a cold?" Like nowadays, if you get sick with a stomach ache, are you sure it's not monkeypox? You know. All right. My kids skin them like this. They'll, let's say you have the rabbit, like with its feet down. You just make a little cut across the back, just with a knife like this. You just get through the hide, poop, and then you can put your fingers in there, and then you just go straight out like this, and it will peel off both sides. And you can tuck it under your arm just a little bit, and then pull this one off, and then cut right behind the head so the head stays with the hide, and then we'll clip the the front feet right at the joint with some snippers that we have. They stay with that side of the hide, and then you turn around, do the same thing on the back, and then you've got the whole animal that's skinned, and then you just eviscerate it from there. So we do the evisceration last, and that's super simple. We do it with the same clippers that we cut the paws off. We just cut through the pelvis, snip, and then run it right up to the front, and then just rake that stuff out, and that's it. And out of the rabbits, sometimes they'll save the livers and the hearts, but we don't like it so well. So I'll buy one of Frank's custom bunny boppers. All right, you have a bunny bopping good time with that, man, Ben. Bunny bopping good time. Ben, you guys need to come down for a class. It'd be fun, if nothing else. Meet some like-minded individuals. All right, folks, I'm going to call it off there. I hope everybody's having a good fall. We're going to have a very special guest this Friday that I'm going to be interviewing. I think you guys are going to really like it. Okay, Nancy's saying, I save the liver, kidneys, and heart and make pate for my cat. Yeah, for sure. Yep, you might as well give the cat whatever they want. But we're going to have a very special guest this Thursday night. There will be a consulting call tomorrow night. We're going about every other week. If you are coming to the consulting call and you don't have any questions, uh, think of some. All right, think of some questions. But it's okay if you want to come to the consulting call and just listen in too. Right. So if you're not accessing that, the the Anyone Can Farm Tribe Plus is what you need to join up with. It's pretty cheap. You just go to Anyone Can Farm Tribe, the Anyone Can Farm Experience.com, and you can sign up for it. It's fairly inexpensive, and it gives you access to everything on there, all the videos, everything. And then you have access to me via a Zoom call on Wednesday nights. Not every Wednesday night. We've been going every other Wednesday, but this coming Wednesday is our time on. And it's pretty good time. People enjoy it. I enjoy it. Fun. All right. All right. Sunset. I'll bring that to Joel's attention. There was some people had problems getting in and had to wind up calling the farmhouse and talk to Joel to navigate your way through. But there's a lot of things changing here. Joel was on the phone for quite a long time yesterday with the provider, and they're making changes all the time because we got a lot more people coming in. I mean, this homesteading thing is not just a flash in the pan. This is America going forward. I don't mean to leave out my Canadian friends. I don't, no offense, but this is where it's going to be. Um, we are going to be putting together some some content here really quick. It's going to be called the Baker's Green Acres Quarter Acre Homestead, and this is where we're going to have a simulation of a quarter-acre homestead next door at the campground, and it's going to be complete with everything that we can pack onto a quarter acre. So what we're doing is we're tapping into a demographic that is huge. The majority of people in the United States live on a quarter acre, right? They're not 80 acres, they're not 40 acres, they're not even 20. It's a quarter acre. And so what can you do on a quarter acre? And so we're going to explore that. And people always get hung up on, well, in my town, you can only have 4 chickens and no roosters. Do you live in the Soviet Union or do you live in the United States of America? Because last time I checked, the Fifth Amendment said that your life, liberty, and property is protected under due process of law. And they don't make law at the township level. Newsflash, or at the county level. So you might get a little static, but just remind them of the Fifth Amendment and the oath that they took. And generally, they'll just run along, go do some dusting. But we'll explore that. We'll talk about that. I'm running out, so I'm going to get going. Okay, Melissa Huck headed to a homestead. Oh, should be closing on our place the end of this week. Really? I need to know about that. I'm wondering where that is. Maybe we should have a chat on the phone. Melissa, I don't have your phone number anymore. I lost everybody's phone numbers when I got my new phone. There's just a handful of them that I kept, or that I was able to keep. Turner, Michigan. I don't know where that is. Is that near me? Couldn't be, or else I'd know. It sounds southern. By hail. Huh. Sounds like hail bomb. All right. I'll see you guys. Remember, anyone can farm. Time to get after it. Good night.